Hello data scientist, welcome to Skillgate. In this tutorial, we are going to perform sentiment analysis on live tweets pulled from Twitter via API. This is part 3 to our 3-part natural language processing project series where we have previously discussed how to set up your own Twitter API that enables you to pull 2 million tweets per month, and a quick walkthrough to Tweepy, which is an easy to use Python library for accessing Twitter API. Link to both of these tutorials is in the description part below. In this third part, we are going to perform sentiment analysis on the live tweets using Python library TextBlob and NLTK Vader. So let's get started. For introductions, we are Skillgate and we are on a mission to bring you application-based machine learning education. We launch new machine learning projects every week, so make sure to subscribe to our channel and also hit that bell icon so you get notified of all our new ML projects. Really seek your support here, guys, as this keeps us motivated and helps us in reaching out to more learners like you. This is our high-level solution architecture. We already have our Twitter API configured and tested. Using Python Tweepy, we shall pull some 1,000 public tweets on a specific keyword like Apple. As iPhone 14 is lined up for launch next month, so Apple is trending on Twitter these days and would be interesting to see what the public sentiments are on this topic. Then once we have the raw tweets with us, next step is data pre-processing, where we remove known value-adding parts of the text data like special characters, punctuation marks, etc. We shall define a pre-processing function in Python for handling this section. Well, once we have the clean text data with us, we shall compute sentiment labels using the popular TextBlob and NLTK sentiment Vader. I'll talk more on these two libraries in a moment. Then in the last slide, to visualize our sentiment analysis results, we plot these good-looking donut chart and word cloud to finish things off. Sounds cool, right? On this note, let's get started. As we are using TextBlob and NLTK libraries for our sentiment analysis, let me give you a quick introduction on how these powerful libraries would help in sentiment labels computation. First up, we have TextBlob. Well, TextBlob is a Python library that offers a simple API to access its method to perform a range of NLP tasks like sentiment analysis. As an example, if we consider this tweet that says Skillgate is a great YouTube channel to learn data science, which of course it is, and then we call the TextBlob sentiment method on it, we get result in this form. TextBlob returns a couple of numbers on this sentence. One is polarity and the other one is subjectivity. Well, polarity is a float and it lies in the range -1 to 1, where a -1 means a strong negative sentiment and a +1 means a strong positive sentiment. In our example case, we are getting a polarity score of 0.8, which seem to be a strong positive sentiment. Then we have subjectivity. Subjectivity lies in the range of 0 to 1, where 1 refers to personal opinion, emotion, or judgment, basically a subjective sentence, and 0 refers to a factual statement like I live in India, like an objective sentence. In our example case, we are getting subjectivity score of 0.75, which means it's sort of a public opinion and not factual information. So together with the polarity and subjectivity, we get a good understanding of the sentiment of our tweet. Next up, let's discuss NLTK sentiment Vader. Again, for the same tweet, Vader gives us 4 values: likelihood of sentiment being a negative, a neutral, a positive, and the 4th number compound. Vader basically is valence aware dictionary and sentiment reasoner, which is specifically trained to sentiments expressed in social media. So it's quite accurate in that sense. Good thing about Vader is that it not only tells the sentiment as positive, negative, it goes on to tell us how positive or how negative the sentiment is. As you may see here, we are getting the numbers on all positive, neutral, negative, etc. And the 4th number returned is compound, which is basically a metric that is normalized value of all ratings and lies in the range -1 to 1. And based on these ranges, we establish whether the final sentiment is positive, negative, or neutral. Now with this understanding, we are all set to begin our sentiment analysis on live tweets. So let's get started. For your ready reference, I have kept all project related files here in this Google Drive folder, link to which is in the description part below. Over here, this Tweepy sentiment analysis is our Jupyter notebook for this tutorial. Let's fire it up to get started. Alright, we are on Google Colab now. I have divided this entire code into these listed sections. So first up, let's set up our environment. Here we are installing Tweepy and then importing these bunch of dependencies. Let's execute them. Then as an essential next step, before we can pull data from Twitter API, we need to authenticate ourselves. Let's do it. Then we are fetching public tweets from Twitter on the hashtag Apple, filtering out the retweets, keeping language as English. We are using Tweepy Paginator, which allows us to make multiple calls to Twitter API. With a single API call, we can get a maximum of 100 results. So we are making 10 back-to-back calls so as to get 1000 tweets. You may play around with these numbers if you wish. Towards the end, we are defining this empty tweet list where we are storing our tweets on hashtag Apple. Let's see what we get. Then we define this data frame tweet list df where we put all the tweets from tweet list. This is how our data frame looks like. Now going further, we will keep adding columns to this data frame so we have a single view of our complete analysis at any given point. Then we come to data pre-processing. Here first up, we are defining this pre-process tweet function, and then we are calling this function on our tweets with this next cell. All clean tweets we are storing in this clean tweets list. Let's run these cells. Now this is how our clean tweets look like. Then we come to the most exciting sentiment label generation part. As discussed a while back, we are calling TextBlob and NLTK Vader sentiment intensity analyzer here to compute sentiments. Then from the Vader compound value, which is this, we are computing the sentiments with this logic. And finally, we concatenate all of these numbers to our data frame. And this is how our data frame looks like now. As you may see, we have a sentiment column here, which is this, that says positive, negative, neutral against all tweets. Alright, now we have the sentiment label on our 1000 tweets we pulled on hashtag Apple. Now let's try to visualize this data and understand what the aggregated public sentiments are like with this next section on sentiment visualization. For this, first up, we are defining these three separate data frames for sentiments positive, negative, and neutral so that we can work on them separately. Then we define this count value in column function to count how many positive, negative, neutral tweets we have in the sentiment column. And then we call this count value in column function on our sentiment column within our data frame. And let's see what we get. As you may see, majority of tweets on hashtag Apple have either a positive sentiment or a neutral sentiment. Next up, let's try creating a donut chart on this same information. We are using matplotlib for this. So this is how our donut chart looks like. Now to get a gist of what people are talking about in their tweets, we may create word clouds that give us an overall idea as to what's being talked about. For this, first I need to mount Google Drive to Colab. We need to do this as we have the word cloud templates stored in our project drive folder that is needed for creating word clouds. All right, we are good. Next up, we have written this function create word cloud. And finally, we get to create our word clouds. Now we may create a word cloud on all the 1,000 tweets to explore what people are talking about overall, or you may create word clouds specifically on the positive, negative, or neutral tweets. Over here, I'll run this first one, which creates a word cloud on the overall data. I definitely encourage you to try out the remaining, uncommenting one of these at a time. Let's run this one. So as we may see, people are talking about Apple iOS. There's a new update that has come recently. Then people are talking about Google, iPhone 14, which is just around the corner, etc. Now to further explore the textual data, we may analyze the length of tweets, both in terms of characters and words in this last section. Let's see what we get. Now, as you may see, for tweets with negative sentiment, the length of the tweet is more than the remaining sentiments, and so is the word count. What this basically means is that people are writing more when they have a negative sentiment in comparison to positive or neutral. Now I'll save this output file back to our project drive folder for your further exploration. Guys, congratulations to you for making it to this point. Do give yourself a pat on the back for completing this natural language processing project all by yourself. In case you have any doubts or you got stuck somewhere, leave a comment below and I'll be happy to help. You may also write to me over email and WhatsApp, or schedule a free one-on-one session by going to my website skillkit.com. I post new machine learning projects every week, so do subscribe to my channel. Happy learning to you. Bye.